grant all your wishes. If you promised me 1,000 kisses, I will never love another like you. So give me all your secrets, your fears and doubts, honey, you don't need them. I will never find another like you. And the air's getting thin, where the wings meet the wind. We see it, we can feel it, and we know this. I believe in something more, all the days that came before. Let us ride to where we are, right to where we are. It's all written in the stars, we've already come so far, and we can't change who we are, who we are. Who we are, who we are. I don't have all the answers, but right now is all that matters. I can never love another like I loved you. And we don't have to understand. Fate always has the upper hand in fate.
Okay, yeah, we're live. That was a great deal, by the way.
All right, so I guess here's the first attempt at a political stream. With me, Anita Green. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm gonna donate bits to you. 1 second.
Oh.
I'm watching an ad.
Already.
There we go.
You did redo this whole layout.
I did.
So, yeah, no, it looks fun.
I invited everyone.
All right, so, oh, there we go. Anita's picture just went out, and then it came back. Oh, there it is. So after being booked for, I don't know, probably a good couple months, and as things have gotten increasingly toxic in some places and ridiculous in others, I decided, I guess I'll do a political chat. So, and I'm usually not the main target on this, so I'm a little bit out of my element. And Anita, the reason why I asked if you would do this with me is because I know me and you are along a lot of the same lines. We differ very, very few places. However, I actually had a little bit of a change of heart lately. And I thought that'd be a good starting point for us to start talking about, because I know in the last few months, both of us have been saying, you know, F Biden, right? And
yeah.
And however, I kind of had a little bit of a change, a little bit. I still don't like him. I still think he's not going to win. But do you know who Noam Chomsky is?
Yes.
So he recently did a video interview with Sept, and the guy who interviewed him, I can't stand. I think he over exaggerates his interviews. He one of his interviews I remember from a while back, he said that Ilhan Omar yelled at him and said something, and when you watch the video, she's laughing at the questions that he's asking. and she never yells at him. She calls him. She basically just kind of blows him off. So this guy, the interviewer, is an idiot. I don't like him. However, he gets Noam Chomsky in an interview, and I don't know how much we can kind of like show videos from interviews from other sources. I would have really loved to actually show that. But he said in there that this is a difference. Hey, Raven. This is a different time. If we do not get rid of Trump, that we will lose more than we're willing to bargain with. He compared it to the rise of the Nazis and how, God, I wish I could say it word for word.
Sorry, I have food. I'm listening. I have food. It's like right in my oven. I'm going to go get it really quick. Sure. But I'm listening. Continue.
Sure. So basically, he said, and let me see if I can just actually pull up a quote and maybe make the point a little bit clearer. Let's see here. 1 second. I should have prepared myself for it. Failure to vote for Biden in a swing state amounts to voting for Trump, which all of us have kind of like said, well, a non-vote technically votes for Biden too. But when he says in this, and this is not verbatim, he compared it to the communists in the 1930s who refused to ally with the Social Democrats against the Nazis. And he states, well, we all know how that worked out, basically allowing Hitler to rise. It's totally scary to think that we've been painted into a position to have to vote for the lesser of two evils, and it's not right by any means. I think it's bullshit. I think if the Democratic Party would have listened, we wouldn't have to worry about a candidate like Biden. But now we're in this situation. If we don't vote to get rid of Trump, and I'm not saying I vote for Biden, but if we don't vote against a Trump re-election, there could be so many more drastic measures that could be taking place. He has tried his damnedest to reverse all progression that we've made in the last, even if it's minute progression, he's looking to destroy it. And that scares me more than anything. It's amazing how we're running into this virus and we're all sitting at home waiting for it to go away. And yet Medicare for all is not a topic to solve this issue. None of us can work, and yet UBI is not something that people are talking about seriously. Thank you. There's so many things that this has exposed, and yet we're trying to play off as if its politics is like normal. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't respect the interviewer at all, but I do respect Noam Chomsky. I think he is a brilliant author. I think he's a brilliant man. Am I going to agree with him on everything? Of course not. I don't think there's anybody out there in the world that I will agree with 100% of the time.
And you shouldn't, because if you agree with somebody 100% of the time, that means that you lack independent thought.
Exactly. So I went on a long rant there. I mean, what do you think? What do you think about what he says? Like, is this a time not to give a vote for Biden, but to take down the regime? And unfortunately, that does go against principle. And don't get me wrong, I think Biden's almost worse than Clinton. In a lot
he's
of ways.
worse.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, Clinton had her things, and I plugged my nose and voted for her anyway. And I've been on the fence for a while. And hell, me and you just talked about this the other day. I said, in order for me to vote for Biden, he would have to put somebody in his VP position that would give me a reason to expect that he would come this direction. And you said you wouldn't vote for him regardless who he picked. And this is kind of one of the other reasons why I wanted to bring you onto this conversation, because me and you were close, but not that close on that position. So give me some of your thoughts on that, if you will.
So, Noam Chomsky is brilliant. And actually, I'm going to note that I took the political compass test just recently, and I've taken it before. And I think it's pretty accurate. Maybe there's a better one out there. But where the person that I aligned with the most was Noam Chomsky. It has a list of people and where they align politically. And Noam Chomsky is the person that I most closely aligned with, who is significant in the political sphere. He is there's no denying that he's very intelligent. So he's basically saying you have to vote for Biden in order to get rid of Trump. That's what he's getting at.
Basically, yeah. I mean, he went into a much longer description, but yes.
That's the essence of it.
Yeah.
I did not hear him say that, and that's disappointing that he feels that way. He's entitled to feel however he wants, but if you vote for a Democrat, you're sending a message to the Democratic Party that this is acceptable, that these candidates are acceptable, and no matter what, even if they are horrible candidates, you are sending a message to them. Every single one of those votes is sending a message that this is acceptable. We will take whoever you give us. And I think that Biden is even worse than Hillary. Hillary was problematic, but I could at least understand where people were coming from by voting for her. I mean, the fact that she's a woman, that we never had a woman as president, like, I get it. She is also very smart, even if she has done some problematic things, even if she has problematic stances. There's no denying that she is intelligent. I did not vote for her, and I have stated that, again, Biden is even worse than Hillary. He's made even worse decisions. Sure, Hillary opposed marriage equality for over 2 decades, which is pretty egregious. But Joe Biden actually voted against it when he voted in favor of DOMA in 1996. He also voted for the war in Iraq. And what his excuse was that he believed the lies of the Bush administration. So that just shows that he's an idiot when it comes to that. He can't see past these lies. And also, I understand that some people think it's ableistic to say it, but I think it's a serious issue to discuss his cognitive decline. And I don't say that
Absolutely.
Just because that's what the right wants to say or anything. And there's also people on the left that are saying that as well. But he does trip over his words better. He's not, people may have problems with him. They may not think that he was sharp. But if you look at how he was 20 years ago, even, it was much different than how he is now, how he speaks.
Oh, absolutely.
He does have a speech impediment, and I know that, and people are saying that it's related to a speech impediment, but it's far worse than that. And I think that it's hard to deny that he does have cognitive decline. And I think that what's really sad to me is that the DNC and Democrats in general are refusing to acknowledge that. And it's something that's serious, and that we need to take a serious look at, because he's not going to do well. He has already proven to me that he is incompetent, and I'm not going to vote for him. And Noam Chomsky is very intelligent, sure, but I have my own mind, and I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to vote for Biden.
I agree with everything you said. I mean, and then, one thing you didn't even bring up is the allegations as of right now. Right?
Exactly. I mean, I already said a lot, so I didn't even get into everything. That was just some of why I am not going to vote for Biden.
Right. No, and I 100% agree with you. I do not understand the direction the DNC decided to go with this. And what drives me nuts about the blue no matter who rhetoric that comes out is, you're right. Our vote is the only power we have. And that is such a minute power. And we do not have the money to back up those votes. When the Supreme Court allowed, I can't remember every single bill. I know there's been 3 bills since the late 70s that have allowed corporations and more money to influence our politicians. And the last one was Citizens United. They have caused all our representation to be just for the donors. And then, fast forward to today, and we're seeing, hell, the last 2 elections, let's just narrow it down, people just buying into the color. Like, I remember, God, it hasn't been that long ago. I can't remember when red and blue became such a thing. Like, there was always Democrats and there was always Republicans, but we were never separated by color. Right. And now all of a sudden color is about the thing. It's, the red states, the blue states. And I get it. It's to simplify things, but it made it more of a team sport versus something about morals. One of the things that I've had a problem with, especially with family members, was, my stepmom, who drives me up the fucking wall. But she says, just because our politics are different doesn't mean we can't get along. No, fuck that. You have a completely different moral setting than I do. You think this is criminal, and I think this is human nature. And you want to punish that. That is so fucking ridiculous. And so it's gone beyond, it's not a sport. And this idea of, blue no matter who, it's saying that it's my team. So if we draft shitty that year, which Biden's a shitty draft at this point, if you really want to look at it that way, you're going to support that team. Well, that's not how politics work. That's not how we do our country. And it's actually really disappointing. And not to mention, I mean, people on Facebook that I'm friends with, like, I've seen people they didn't say to me directly, "Oh, you're an idiot," but they'll say Bernie Sanders fans are idiots. I'm sorry. Indirectly, you're calling me an idiot because I am a Bernie Sanders supporter. And here's why. It just drives me absolutely fucking bonkers. And I think the blue no matter who, or did I say that right? Blue no matter who. It's such a silly fucking rhyme that I don't see how they don't see themselves as the Tea Party of the right 10 years ago. and how their lines that they're drawing are not even as strong as the lines of the Tea Party from 10 years ago. You know, they actually said, look, if you guys don't do this, we're not going to support you. And the right said, okay, I'll do that. Here we are on the left, and we're saying we want this, this, and this, and this. And everybody's like, maybe we want it, but we don't want to vote for the person who says he won't give it to us, or that says that we'll give it to us. We want to vote for the person who just flat out says we're not going to give it to you. And I don't understand that. So I think the Blue No Matter Who group is causing the decline of the left. And I didn't think that was an issue until recently. I thought as a country we were moving more towards a progressive. Because even the right agrees that healthcare should be a right. I mean, there's certain spectrums that don't, but. And so here we are, most drastic person we've ever had elected as president. Maybe that's not true if you go back far enough. But one of the worst presidents we've ever seen, and now we're facing him or someone who can't remember what position they're running for. Someone, as you said, you know, voted against gay rights. You know, as early as what it was, 2012. I mean, it hasn't been that long. We're not talking 30 years ago. We're talking maybe 8, 6. I mean, I think Hillary Clinton came out in 2014 and said she was for gay rights. Sorry for everybody who's like chatting in here. I'm totally
Go back and read them.
Yeah, I guess I should do that.
If there's gonna be a confident.
So you think that you're going to vote for Biden in the general, or are you undecided?
So right now that's a mixed bag. I'm leaning. I feel like it hurts already. Even the fucking I don't even want to say it. I am leaning towards it most of the beat, but I am not ready to relinquish my endorsement. Or I mean, not like my fucking endorsement means a damn thing, but I'm not ready to say, yeah, no matter what, I'm giving him my vote. I am in a swing state. Clinton won this barely the last time, this state, and so I'm still undecided. Let's put it that way. I'm definitely undecided. I have not made a determination one way or another. That Noam Chomsky interview reached me a lot more than I expected to when I turned it on.
I want to listen to that interview. I haven't seen that. I've seen him. He's been speaking a lot on Democracy Now!
Yeah.
Which I love. Democracy Now! Like my go-to news source.
Great journalism. They
yeah.
Definitely do.
And if I understand why people are going to vote for Biden, I do. And I know that's not going to happen here, but I just need to say this, that it's not okay to vote shame, because people have their reasons for voting the way they do. And I am voting third party. I am going to vote for Howie Hawkins with the Green Party. Most likely. The only reason that I wouldn't vote for him is if something surfaces that is deeply problematic about him. And I have to stay true to what it is that I believe in. And that includes believing victims. I believe Tara Reade.
Me too.
I believe Tara Reade. And to me, if I vote for Biden, I'm saying, well, yeah, you sexually harassed her, you sexually assaulted her, but I mean, you're not as bad as the other person. No, that's not okay. That's not okay. And I'm not going to reward that kind of behavior. I mean, I already gave valid points for not wanting to vote for Biden. Do I want Trump to win? No, but I also don't want Biden to win. So I'm not going to vote for either one of them. And By voting for a third party candidate, I'm saying that these are the values that I want. Howie Hawkins is representing the values and policies that I endorse. And that's why I'm going to vote for him. And I think that a lot of people assume that third party people are just crazy and don't know what they're doing. And something that gets said a lot to suppress them is that they come from a place of great privilege in order to vote that way, which is interesting when it's said to me, because I'm part of one of the most oppressed demographics in existence. I am a woman, number one, and women are a minority. And then number two, I'm transgender. I'm a transgender woman. So I don't come from a place of great privilege. I mean, yes, there are other people that are more underprivileged than me, but my demographic has a lot of oppression. And I have been shamed even within the trans community because I said that I'm not going to vote for Biden. But they have another think coming if they believe that I am going to vote for Joe Biden because of the reasons that I already stated. I absolutely will not do it. If I do that, I'm saying to the Democrats that, well, as problematic as he is, I'll vote for whoever you send my way. And they're just going to keep putting forth terrible candidates if they do that. They learned nothing from Hillary Clinton's loss. She lost. And then they put forth an even worse candidate. Unacceptable. No, I'm not going to reward that. And that's what I'm doing if I vote for them. If I vote for Biden, I am saying that, well, you're a Democrat and whatever, here's your reward. No. Maybe next time they can look at all the people that are not voting for Biden and are looking at the left. Maybe they can look at selecting a more progressive candidate in the future.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on that. And, you know, hell, we've played this game, right? We've already saw it. This is what happened in 2016. Hillary was a horrible candidate. Everybody from the left said, please do not do that. Do this. The blue no matter who, even though that was the term back then, came out in droves and they voted, but the states that she needed to win, she lost. And I've been screaming from the rooftops saying the independents make a majority of the votes in this country and have yet to do anything to get the independents wanting to come out and vote for them. A lot of the independents came out and voted for Trump last time because Hillary Clinton, in their eyes, was a horrible candidate, a criminal, and that's what's going to happen again. Now, whether those conditions are true or not, that she's a criminal, because obviously, well, I have my perspectives on people in power who never get charged for anything, but she's never been convicted, so therefore I can't say she's a criminal for sure. But I do think she's done some shady shit. I think she also voted for the war as well, and you know she had her faults too. And I agree with you. Biden has the same destroyed base and said, you know, see, I'm going to win this time. And again, everybody's saying, no, you won't, except no matter who crowd. So I'm actually almost on the side of saying that the blue no matter who crowd's actually the Tea Party of the right. And here we are.
So I also need to really emphasize a point. At least I give credit where credit is due. Hillary Clinton, as problematic as she was never accused of sexual assault,
True.
sexual harassment.
Right.
Okay. And if you want to say that to me, it's like if you want to say that you support the Me Too movement, then You do so 100%. You don't half-ass it. You either support it or you don't. And to me, it's like if you want to say that you believe some survivors, you believe victims, then voting for Biden is not the right thing to do.
I agree, and you're right. And I don't know if you follow. Oh my God, Rose McGowan.
Can you speak up a little for me? It's a little hard for me to hear because I have terrible speakers.
No problem. Here, let me. Do you? Are you on Twitter?
Am I on Twitter? Yeah.
Okay, so I've just started using. Actually, I don't use it. I just read stuff off of Twitter, and I follow Rose McGowan, and some of the stuff that she says has been spot on. Do you not like Rose McGowan?
Not a fan of hers.
No. She's been really striking out on what's her name, Alyssa Milano, because Alyssa Milano is trying to cover up for Biden's shit, and it was like I looked down, I was like, she's hot. Oh, Rose McGowan, not Hillary. Gotcha. So the reason why I bring her up is because she's attacking, she's trying to make the same case as you are. She's saying that, here we are with people that says they support the Me Too movement, but then they turn around and support Joe Biden. And that's a huge contradiction. Princess, I think Trump is probably one of the worst presidents ever. And I do not have a list of very fond Republican presidents. I may have, if I had to say the last Republican that I actually somewhat admired, or not admire, that's stretching. His name's escaping me. But he was actually the last Republican to balance the budget. Damn it. Now I'm going to do a search because I'm going to go blank for ever. Is it Eisenhower? Funny, he's not even on the list when I first pull up.
Well, that's good that Rose McGowan is calling out Alyssa Milano on that. I don't like Rose McGowan because I think she's transphobic, and
oh really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, she's transphobic, and she said that she's sorry, but just because you owe somebody an apology doesn't mean that you have to forgive them. And I don't forgive her. And I also don't really believe that she's that sorry. But anyway, she might be right. She might be, I might agree with her on this case if she's going after Alyssa Milano for defending Biden. I didn't know Alyssa Milano was doing that. I don't pay close attention to Alyssa Milano or Rose McGowan. But yeah, no, I think that Rose McGowan is very problematic. And I guess Alyssa Milano is being problematic too if she's still supporting Biden.
Oh yeah, and basically saying, that he's innocent until proven guilty. Basically saying, that she doesn't believe Tara Reade. Ronald Reagan was not the last. Ronald Reagan did not balance the budget. He actually created or started the major decline of our GDP. He borrowed something like $4 trillion from China. I don't remember the year, but he did not balance the budget. Ronald Reagan was, and Tyler, I know you're going to hate this, but he was a puppet. He was purely brought in to do the will of of a lot of corporate people, especially on Wall Street. The last Republican president to balance the budget was Dwight D. Eisenhower, and that was 1953 to 1961. So you can see how far back that goes. And then, I mean, the only other between him and Ronald Reagan was Nixon, and we all probably at least read something in high school about what Nixon did. I'm not a crook, but I'm a crook. I did not know that about Rose McGowan. Matter of fact, the only thing probably the only reason why I even started following her recently is because of the things that she's been saying against Melissa Milano.
Rose McGowan is also a Republican.
Is she really? That's
yes.
Funny. Yeah, so if I understand it right, Alyssa Milano is married to someone who runs the kind of like the union for actors or something along those lines, or some association, and they are part of the Time Up, which is what Tara Reid tried to get to have them investigate or to help her with her case, and they came up with nothing. I would have to I could find the article and send it to you later, if you really want to read on that. But I mean, I the things she said, and then there was like an interview with Rose McGowan, and again, it's been purely on this subject. I have not looked into who she is beyond that, but she was knocking him out of the party against Alyssa Milano for good reason. So I wanted the guy, I don't know, remember his name, but could not vote because I was 15 or 16, the one that had least votes. Princess, do you know if it was the general election or if it was in the primary, like who gets to run for president? It's hot in here.
Sorry, can you speak up? I didn't hear that last part. What?
Oh, no, the last part I was actually asking Kate to, or saying that it was hot, Kate, in here. It's like 100 degrees.
Oh.
I asked Princess because Princess said that in the chat, she wanted someone to vote or wanted someone to win, but she couldn't vote because she was only 15 or 16. So I was just asking if it was in the general or if it was in the primary.
Yeah.
But any, like, say his that happened. He decided. Is there anything?
No. Because we know already, to me, some of his votes, if you vote against marriage equality, if you ever in your political career decide to vote against marriage equality, that is absolutely disqualifying. And I've said that, and it's not just Joe Biden either. Tulsi Gabbard voted against marriage equality when she was a state representative. And that to me is absolutely disqualifying. There are other problematic things that somebody has done, but I will not ever forgive that. Never. So it doesn't matter if he comes out and says that he supports Medicare for all, which he won't. It doesn't matter if the sexual assault allegation, if Tara Reid later says, oh yeah, I made it all up. Even if that was the case, which is not going to happen, but let's just say for the sake of argument that, that were to happen, I'm still not going to vote for Joe Biden. I will not vote for Joe Biden. And And I mean, voting for the war in Iraq, I think, is a valid enough reason to not vote for a candidate. That was a terrible thing to do. That vote alone is disqualifying as well. He's done many problematic things. There is also video evidence that is undeniable about his benevolent sexism. I guess some people want to say that, oh, well, he's of a different generation and that was acceptable back then. Many of those women came out and said that they felt uncomfortable, and that's valid. And it is not okay. You don't get to do that. If somebody says that they are uncomfortable, the way that he has interacted with women was not acceptable.
So let me ask you, if at the DNC convention, they come out and they said due to health reasons, we're
Please
going
speak up.
Sorry. Due to health reasons, we're going to replace Joe Biden. We already know Bernie Sanders would never get that placement. Who likely would you go that direction? Who would you vote for them to put it in if they put somebody in? Does that make sense?
Well, Bernie Sanders makes the most sense for them to do because Bernie Sanders has the second most amount of delegates.
Yeah, but they won't. We already know they hate Sanders, and so they will not put Sanders in.
They're not going to have Joe Biden step down either.
But let's just say, I mean, we already know that. So basically, what I'm asking for, because don't get me wrong, I want Sanders in as well, right? But this is the second election. I saw them steal it from him in the primary by the little fucking tricks. They did the exact same tricks last time. Oh my God, I did it again. So in my head, they would totally break every single rule and bring somebody else in. I mean, hell, they brought in what's his name, who got destroyed. The hell's his name? The billionaire.
Michael Bloomberg.
Michael Bloomberg. They got rid of rules for that. So I could see them saying, sorry, Biden, we just don't think you're fit. Here's our next candidate. If they did that, who would you be okay voting for? I mean, don't get me wrong, the whole situation would be stupid, but there's a lot of talk about it right now. There's a lot of people insinuating that they may replace Joe Biden. They're not going to do it with Sanders. But is there a candidate that you think they could put in that you would vote for?
I would grit my teeth and vote for Elizabeth Warren. She's really angered me a lot. I think she's I think she's weak. She won't stand true to her convictions. I think she should have endorsed Bernie Sanders because she is supposedly a progressive. I would grit my teeth and vote for Elizabeth Warren if she also had, and only if she had a progressive vice president.
Okay. I mean, I see. I don't think they would. I mean, I would probably do that too, without much. I mean, she pissed me off too. The fact that she came out with a lie, ran on that lie when she started losing in the polls, and then didn't come out and endorse Sanders when supposedly she is a progressive. I honestly, I think she is at high risk of losing her seat in Mass.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
I really wish she would have stuck to her guns and how she started. However, I don't think they would use her either. I think she is just enough out of their wants, because she goes after their donors. The DNC does not want anybody to hurt their money stream. One of the things that Noam Chomsky also said during that interview is that the DNC would rather lose the election than lose the party. And that is so 100% true. They much rather Trump win the president than for a Sanders.
Oh shoot!
And even a Warren that would come in and change how the money is into their campaigns.
Sorry, I was trying to get bits for Katie.
Oh, what happened?
You can hear her.
I was watching an ad so I could get bits for Katie.
Oh.
I apologize. Sir. Okay, anyway, my bad. But hey, it was worth it. I got 50 bits from that ad.
Hey, that works. And here I am doing the work.
Real shit.
There we go.
Okay, so
Okay, well, what questions you got?
I didn't know there was questions.
Do you think we are in a position as a step away? Do you think now is the time to fight for an independent candidate?
Well, okay, really quick. I think that there's a difference between an independent candidate and a third party candidate. But yes.
Do I think we're ready to move to a? I think yes and no. I think right now we have such a us versus them mentality, and I don't mean us versus them as in like white versus black or any social problems, though we have plenty of those. But I think where we're having our major problem is the rich versus the poor. And are the poor ready for a third party? Possibly. Are the rich ready for the third party? Absolutely not. Because that means they'd have to pay for a third party to corrupt. And I think as long as they can keep those two sides, because ultimately, if you look at what gets passed in law or in tax cuts, they're not much different. It's we one of the things I've always heard, the Democrats are for the party or for the working class, and the Republicans are more for business class, but they all vote for the same shit. And I don't think media or aren't the rich pretty much the politicians right now? I'll repeat that. Hold on a second. I just think that they will create. So here's actually a little bit better of a clear definition of what I'm trying to get across. 70%, if I remember the last poll I remember, between 60 and 70% want Medicare for all in this country. That's Republicans, Democrats, Independents. 60 to 70%. That is a majority of this country, right? That wants Medicare for all. But if you listen to the media, if you listen to our politicians on both sides, they're going to say over and over, we are not ready for this. The people are not ready for this. But if you look at the polls, it says completely the opposite. So I think the people at least the lower whatever percent of this country are absolutely ready for a third party. But they've been fed so much from the media to vote against that. And I think that's exactly what we just saw in this election. And that's why I feel like, so even if we had a third party, it would be the exact same thing right now. They're just being told, a third party is not irrelevant. I mean, there's nothing in our Constitution that says we can only have two parties at one time. There's nothing in there that says that. But we've all believe it to be true because that's all there's ever been in our lifetimes and probably our great grandparents' lifetimes. But at one point, the Republican Party was a fringe party, a third party that came about with Abraham Lincoln. And before that, there was chaos. There was multiple parties and people fighting over for scraps, basically. So, yeah, anyway, sorry. I probably made that a lot longer.
It's okay.
Okay, Tyler just brought up what do you think biggest political issue right now in our country?
The biggest healthcare, definitely healthcare, especially with COVID-19, and I think that we need to focus on single payer healthcare. Definitely, most definitely. That's what I think we should push for. That's something that's very important. We also need to be talking more about housing as a right. But I guess we're not there right now as a country to be talking about that. We should be, but right now I'm going to say healthcare. If I had to choose one issue.
So I'm actually going to go one step further. I'm going to say money in politics. I think if you get money out of politics, you can get Medicare for all. You can get, as you were saying, the housing. As long as we have politicians who are being paid by millionaires or billionaires, they will never vote for the best of the people. They will vote for their donors. I think if you get money out of politics, what the people want will come in, because that's what the government is. It's us. We are supposed to be the government. We elect these people to talk for us, and we have allowed that to be corrupted and bought and paid for. So I think if we take the ability to pay politicians, and I know a lot of people who don't like paying their taxes, if we take a percentage of what we pay for in our taxes and it goes to public financing elections, people start being heard. And if we want Medicare for all, want the healthcare, which I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm sitting next to one of the fucking poster children that needs a goddamn better health plan than anybody I know. And I think we get that. I think we get that. We stop. We make these politicians listen to us. I think that everything else starts to fall into place.
Kyle.
Mostly, I hate waking up every day and wondering if she's going to be breathing. Yeah. But it happens.
Do you guys take some sort of allowed to?
No, that's voter suppression.
I would agree with that. I think if any voting suppression comes in However, I think our education needs to become better so people are more informed, but I don't think it's a mandate.
Follow. How much do you think?
I think that there are a lot of uneducated people that end up voting based upon what they initially feel rather than doing their research. And yes, it's a problem. All I can do is encourage people to do as much research as possible. And if you actually look at the facts, I think that you're more likely to skew left.
What was the question again? I was reading Tyler's post.
But much do you think causes issue?
I a lot. I think I hate putting it like this, but I think the uneducated, and not even the uneducated, because someone can be extremely freaking smart and have degrees, but never looked into politics or looked into how things are done or whatnot, and they vote against their best interests. I mean, I've ran into so many people that say, well, I don't know about that, so I don't vote. Or they say they come into an argument and they're completely uneducated on what that is. And so I think it can go both ways. I think sometimes it's not so much that they're uneducated. There's, I don't know. I want to say the same thing Anita, and I agree with what Anita said. I wish there was some way to not make it purposely abstract for people to understand what they're voting for. I think a lot of times the laws are written in a way to confuse people. I'm still trying to figure out what was the internet bill. Fuck, I can't remember. I'm totally drawing blanks. That's what Sunday does to me. Well, there's that too. But there was an internet bill that went on for years and years and years, and it was confusing. If you read both sides to it, it was so hard to understand on whose side was the side you wanted to be on. So
I totally just realized that nobody else heard my questions and that my mic has been muted in the audio mixer this entire fucking time. So no one actually knew what questions you were replying to.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No. That's totally on my bad. I kept muting and unmuting my mic from the handpiece, and I had it muted in the audio mixer the whole fucking time because I'm
Rip.
Oh my god. I mean, at least I got the general idea of what you were talking about, but my bad. Anyway, to get back to what Tyler was saying, he was saying that about Medicare should be less about the government paying for it and more about the government going after the drug companies and medical institutions for skyrocketing their prices. The reason for this thinking is that as long as medical prices are high, regardless of who pays for it, it will cause an immense amount of debt.
But that is actually why you want Medicare, because it's just like being in a union, right? The reason why a union is able to succeed in the wages is because they all stand together. You fuck one of us, you fuck all of us, and then we fuck you. If you have a system of Medicare for all, and you have a large conglomerate, as a country would be, that says, no, we're not going to pay for that. If you want to sell your drugs to us, you're going to lower your cost. And if they can't, no company is going to say, I don't want to sell to the United States. No company. And so they will lower their prices. The reason why we have soaring medication prices is because in our country, our politicians have allowed that to continue. That's one of the things that I couldn't stand about the Affordable Care Act. It did not come to the table by saying you're going to not overcharge for the practice of medicine with us, or you to help us be better, right? Medically wise. It allowed them to continue to raise their prices. And Tyler, I know this is going to sound like I'm attacking the Republic, but it was a Republican plan. It was an American heritage plan to put in process. Obama didn't do anything with that. He basically wrote it verbatim for the country, what was originally in mass. And he allowed the prices to skyrocket. And obviously that was for medical insurance, but the same thing goes with medications. I don't know if you have anything to say add to that. Anita, sorry.
No, you're fine. I agree with you. Also, I'm going to note that there are some politicians. So, for example, Cory Booker has actually received a lot of financial campaign contributions from pharmaceutical companies. So has John Tester, who is a Democratic senator from Montana.
Right. Well, and that's exactly my point. Is like it's, these people who are taking pharmaceutical money, why would they want to lower prices? They're getting paid. One of the things that it's always like kind of dumbfounded me, and I just heard this the other day. I'm just going to go to Mexico to buy my drugs, medication, not drugs like Coke or something, or they run to the Canadian border and go buy drugs from there. It's like, why not just get it to where we're not paying a stupid amount of money? Start voting for the politicians that will not take PAC money.
So Katie just asked a question and I wanted to address that. So to me, I like to say, because it is true, your vote is your voice. And if you say that your vote doesn't matter, you are saying that your voice doesn't matter. And if you are going to say that your voice doesn't matter, then why ever say anything at all? I mean, even outside of politics, if that's what you truly believe, then why ever say anything? And so if you are going to say something, if you're going to say, well, my voice matters in some context, it's like, well, then it matters all the time. That's where I'm at anyway, with that. And I think that I hope that people will listen to that message and be encouraged to vote.
Yeah, I mean, how do you get people to go out and vote? That's a tough one. I mean, getting them excited to go. I mean, that's what I saw Sanders do, was get people excited to come out and vote, get the policies that excited them to want. When you have someone who says, hey, nothing's going to change, keep moving forward the way it's always been, well, that doesn't work for me. Why should I come out and vote for you? It's not that it's a hard thing to come out and, go down to the poll lines, but it is time. And, as of right now, there is no days off. There's no time forgiven to go vote. Like, you have to work around a schedule for a lot of people. So how do you get people to vote? You get them excited, get them the reason to lose a day of salary to come out and and vote. But if it's the same bullshit, and then make it to where it doesn't look like it's bullshit. I think my experience last time voting in the caucus here in Nevada, not this last time with Sanders and Biden, but with Sanders and Clinton, it was such a clusterfuck that I heard 18-year-old kids who were voting for the first time walk out of there and go, "This was fucking stupid. I am never doing this shit again." And that was done on purpose. It was done to frustrate people so they will give up. And so how do we as individuals, I mean, I agree with you, Anita. I think that is our only bit of power. When we started this earlier, that's what I said. It's my only little bit of power is my vote. And to just give that away means something to me. And I don't know how you can reach out to somebody and go, "No, dude, you got to vote. You got to do this." But as a politician, the only thing I can say is they have to excite. They have to give us a reason to push forward, because there's a lot of shit to deal with. There's a lot of time that has to go spent. I mean, and that's not even saying for people who phone bank or door knock or hand out flyers. This is just to go out on a single day and write in a name or put a check mark. And there's already people not doing that. And that is sad. It's depressing.
Yeah. So, as far as term limits go, I'm reading chat. I support term limits. I don't know if 8 years total. So 8 years for a senator doesn't really makes too much sense to me. I would think at most 3 terms as a senator, because each term is 6 years when you're a federal senator.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at anyway. I mean, and that's a lot of time. I think you should have to give it up after 3 terms.
I've been on that.
That is a long time. It is 18 years. Yeah, I mean, that's a long time, but I don't know. That or 12 years. I don't know.
How slow things work too, right? I mean, you can't. So let's just take it from a presidential standpoint, right? We only give them 8 years to push something, a possibility of 8 years. If they come in and they want to put in certain policies and so on and so forth, if the Senate, which gets flipped every 2 years, or sorry, doesn't get flipped, but has X amount of people voted for the year the president is, then 2 years later, and then again 4 years later. And mind you, those are 6 years terms, so they're all kind of like sporadic throughout that. That means that the Senate and Congress can be flipped multiple times, or twice at least, in a time that a president is sitting. If there's an agenda or something that president wants to push, or that senator wants to push, there has to be time for that. And I think term limits can hurt that. I don't disagree with the idea of term limits, and I could probably hear rebuttal on this, but FDR, in I know he was a Democrat, but was probably the best president this country's ever seen. He has put safety nets in for a lot of things. Was he perfect? Probably not. But he's the one that started Social Security. He started getting things going in a progressive kind of direction before the idea of progressive around. And he didn't have a term limit. And so he kept going until he died. It wasn't until after he died that they were like, okay, we don't want another FDR in there, because what if it flipped to the other side? What if there was somebody in there that had just drastic, horrible things? So I'm a little mixed on the term. I think, however, there should be something that's kind of a catch, because you have people who get into power, and because they have money, they can keep winning those elections over and over, like Dianne Feinstein in California. She's a Republican. She
She's not a Republican. She's a Democrat.
well, no, I know she's a Democrat, but she wears sheep clothing, in my opinion. She votes all Republican, but she poses as a Democrat. She was also one of the women who, or one of the women, like it mattered. It did not matter what her gender was. Sorry. She was one who benefited from knowing that the stock market was going to crash, and she cashed out and made a shit ton of money. So how do you check that? How do you keep it from people going too long? I don't know. I think we need, again, I think if we get money out of politics, that kind of fixes that issue. Because right now, the reason why Feinstein's able to continuously get into that position is because she has the money to destroy anybody on TV ads and media and everything, and she's a name and so on and so forth. If she couldn't spend more than what the public gave her to run her election, and it was the exact same amount of someone who was just coming into it, you don't have to worry about it, because someone can come in with a better message. And she's done, and her money meant nothing in the end. So that's how I look at term limits. I don't think they're necessarily needed. I think we just need to go back to the idea of getting rid of money in politics.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, there was a next question. Oh, you ran.
Other question was, should a person be required to prove citizenship prior to casting their vote?
My initial thought process, what I'm thinking at this time is no. No, I mean, you're living here. You should be able to vote. That's how I feel at this time. I'm willing to listen to arguments to the contrary, though.
I don't see what the difference would be, except for to disregard votes. So one of the misconceptions is that we have an overabundance of illegal immigrants. It wasn't that long ago we had of illegal immigration. We had more Mexicans, and I'm just gonna say them because it's usually what the target they want to hit, going back to Mexico than there was coming here. So, for an example, there was 5 people who were here illegally going back to Mexico versus 1 coming from Mexico into the United States. And I don't, if you think about it, there is how many millions of Americans who are legal citizens who vote. You're telling me you're scared about this one subculture in our country who you feel shouldn't be here, is going to cause a drastic difference. The other part is the idea of, they don't pay their taxes. Bullshit. They pay more taxes than any of us do because they don't get a fucking return.
Mm-hmm.
They work, and they work fucking hard, and they make shit wages, much less than most of us, doing, fuck work. And they don't get any of that back when they paid it towards the government. So most of us right now who just received that check that from the COVID-19, part of that was illegal immigrants who didn't get anything for that. You're welcome, I guess. Or thank you.
Is there a difference or why is socialism being told to be or being brought up to be a bad thing?
It's an easy scapegoat.
Is there a difference between socialism and democratic socialism? And if so, what?
Anita, I'm hoping I'm not cutting you off on this one.
No, go ahead.
So the idea of socialism is that government mandates production, right? That's what socialism was back whenever, right? Whenever the idea came about that we pay the government, or we the government, then the government controls companies, and we tell that company to build whatever. And that's the true kind of definition, if you will, of socialism. The misconception with what Bernie Sanders was talking about, which was democratic socialism, is not that at all. It is a social system for the people. Denmark is a capitalistic country that has social democracy. They have a medical system for everybody. They even have I don't think they have a UBI, but they do have safety nets for those types in case of situations like what we're into right now. And I think that socialism was used, or the term socialism was used in order to defame and hurt a candidate like Bernie Sanders. It was a smear. And since our country loves to demonize terms like communism, not saying that communism is great or the worst thing in the world, but in the 40s, was it, when people were getting put on blacklists? Might have been even before that. Or no, it wasn't in the 40s. It was around too. People were being blacklisted for being communist support. And I think that's the most un-American thing we could have done. But whatever. And I think the idea of the term socialism was used similar because they did not want to lose control. Who made money, who didn't. Did I answer that question, or did I go off on? This is why I don't do these things usually.
Do you have anything in your states for socialism and how you feel about it, Anita?
So I support socialism. So democratic socialists believe in democracy and democratic principles. And oftentimes I think that a lot of people use democratic socialism and socialism to be interchangeable. I was trying to look for an article that really distinguishes the difference between that. Is there a difference? I guess it depends on who you ask, between socialism and democratic socialism. But yeah, Blind already explained what socialism really is. And what that is that the state controls the means of production, or the government controls it. So I mean, I'll just read you what I'll read. I'm looking at an article right now from the Business Insider to maybe put it more simply. So it's a state-controlled economy in which the state controls the means of production: factories, offices, resources, and firms. There are also forms of socialism in which the means of production are controlled and owned by workers. So that's what it comes down to.
So Benjamin says, do we really want the government to control all that? They can't even balance their budgets.
But that's a feature. It's not a bug. We could balance the budget. They don't want to balance it. I don't think it's inept of their choices. I think that's done on purpose. So it's funny because like I watch a lot of things on about how like the tax incentives or the tax breaks that were just pushed a couple years ago or something like that, and everybody seemed to be okay with that. Yet in a couple of years, we're all going to be paying. If you make under, what was it, I think $75,000 a year, your taxes are going up. People have already seen it. I mean, hell, I think I read just recently that this COVID stimulus package is going to cost each American $13,000, and all we got was a lousy 12. It's done on purpose. It's to move the money from one direction to the other, and not towards the people. It's kind of like Bain Capital, right? We all heard about. If you were paying attention to the Obama and Salt Lake guy. Man, I'm blanking on names to. Romney. When Obama and Romney were against Hillary, Romney was part of Bain Capital. What they would do is they would buy a company, throw a tremendous amount of debt on it, and then go bankrupt. But they all got paid. The only people that got screwed were workers. This is the same ideas of what they're doing with our government. They're going to throw all the money give it to all these people, these CEOs and people of power, and meanwhile we're all going to pay for that, and eventually we're going to go bankrupt, which we may see right now. Mitt Romney. They could balance the budget, but again, why do they want to? They want to get paid. They're all getting paid, and when they leave politics, right side, left side, they're getting paid when they leave. They're getting these positions of power in these corporations, and they never go to work a day of their life because you technically can't get paid from a corporation. They can pay for your elections, but there's a promise that once you get out of politics, you're going to be a consultant.
So the last question I have is, do you think history is repeating itself? And if so, can you give some examples? Anita looks like that's a loaded question.
Do I think that history is repeating itself? In some ways, yes, I do. I don't think that I think some people think that it's extreme to compare Trump to Hitler, but I also think that it's fair. I do think it's fair. I really do, because Trump is a demagogue. So is Hitler. Hitler instilled a lot of fear in people, and emboldened them to be hateful towards other people. And that is exactly what Trump is doing. And we've actually seen a drastic increase in hate crimes against minorities ever since Trump took office. So yeah, in some ways, history is repeating itself.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we've seen this game a few times, or this movie rather. I mean, the easiest one is to compare Trump to Hitler. I mean, I don't. I agree with you that I don't say he's as bad as Hitler, but I don't say he's a good guy either, right? Like, which I'm not saying that's what you said by any means. He's definitely stroked the fires of a country that has always been a racist undertone. and he knows the words to piss people off or to stroke those flames. And he's used them multiple times from the time he was running for president, saying that all Mexicans are murderers and rapists, to just recent with calling it the China virus. And then reversing everything that Obama did. And it wasn't even, and here's what I think is what a lot of people don't get. I don't know if that's maybe not the case, but I don't think Trump's doing a lot of this because I think he's a child, and I think he is he wants to be accepted. And so I don't think he was accepted by a black community. And I think this is his payback, if that makes sense. And then I also think he is so weak-minded that he lashes out. If you watch when a woman asks him a question during an interview, man, he gets pissed. He gets super sensitive and he just strikes. And it's funny to watch a little bit because you're like, dude, you're a child. You're a fucking child. But at the same time, it's dangerous because of the things that he will do to get back at them. And that part's scary. That we've allowed somebody that child mentality.
I think the only reason he really isn't as bad as Hitler is because he doesn't have as much power. But if he did have that power, yeah.
I agree with that too. I agree with that as well. So that was the last question.
That was the last question I had lined up. I don't know if you guys want to make your closing statements. Ending with Trump is equal to Hitler is a very bold closing statement, let me say. But if you guys have anything else you'd like to say before we start a raid here, it's a quick 1.5-hour stream. I'd actually only planned for an hour, but you guys did really well. And hopefully we will continue to do some political debates. I'd like to get someone on here who is on the other side, someone maybe who is more in the red, someone that'd be willing to have more, because you guys just agree on everything. Now, where's the fun in that? We need someone to be like, Trump 2020!
Yeah, no, I was okay with having somebody else on here.
So maybe I'll try and look into that. If anybody who's watching now is interested in coming on, you don't have to do video, but if you want to do a call with us, if you guys want to jump on to a call with us maybe next week, we can discuss some points and have some debating back and forth. But overall, I think that we got some information out there. We definitely put out, we know who everyone here supports.
Well, reach out to TSAN, honestly. Ask people on TSAN. You'll find a lot of people there that support Trump.
As long as, we can keep it civil. Tyler said he said maybe, I don't know. We've talked to Tyler. Obviously, we're good friends with Tyler. He's a great guy.
Do you honestly support? Does he honestly?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that they're both Benjamin and Tyler are both Trump supporters, or at least more Republican-esque. And like I said, we've talked to Tyler here before, and I believe that he would be able to have a civil conversation on at least on why he is the support he has. But we'll look into this maybe more next week. And I appreciate you coming and doing this with us, Anita.
Yes, thank you so much.
Obviously you have quite a political background, and everybody should go follow her because Anita's amazing. She's good at games too. So I think we are going to drop a raid to...
I would agree with that too, Vin. But it's hard. It's even me. Hell, I fight with both sides. So,
Yeah.
matter of fact, I'm reading something that's going to piss me off on Facebook right now.
So we'll talk, and if anyone is interested in potentially debating with these lovely people, let us know, and we can definitely set something up. We're gonna drop by and read Wandering Raven. She is an amazing streamer working on some science and technology right now. So make sure you drop those kitty bear emotes. Let her know that we sent you, and we will see you guys all for our regular scheduled gaming stream on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Bye.
Hi.
Oh, there's an 8-second raid thing. Do. Sorry, guys. I'm bad at this. Okay, now we're reading. Bye.
Mom.